Before we talked about inequalities in one triangle, now I want to go over inequalities in two triangles. Hey, relax. Alright, so I need you guys to pay attention and you need to stop talking and put your phones away.
So heated right now.
Alright, so the following theorem, I don't want to have to talk over you guys. You need to stop talking.
Oh, really matter. I need some air.
Take some deep breaths.
So,
the following theorem and its converse involve the relationship between the sides of two triangles and an angle in each triangle. So that theorem is called the Hinge theorem. It has to do with side angle side inequalities. Okay? So you have two sides and an angle between. Okay, so if two sides of a triangle are congruent to two sides of another triangle, and the included angle of the first is larger than the included angle of the second, then the third side of the first triangle is longer than the third side of the second triangle. Okay, so what this is saying, pay attention. What this is saying, if I have these two sides congruent, and I have an included angle in both of those, okay, your larger angle here to that opposite side, so that third side there, that side will be your longer side. Okay, since 80 is greater than 60. Okay, since 60 is less than 80, this will be your shorter side.
do you have a stapler?
Okay, the converse of the hinge theorem has to do with side, side, side. So if you have two sides of a triangle that are congruent to two sides of another triangle, and the third side in the first is longer than the third side in the second, then the included angle in the first is greater than the included angle in the second. So now we're going from a side to the opposite angle. So if I look at my picture here, I have my two congruent sides. Okay, we're looking at these included angles. So I'm going to look at the side opposite that. So side NP here is 36, and side ST is 33. Okay, so NP is your greater side, so that included angle across from it is your greater angle. Okay, so that angle right there is your greater angle. This angle would be smaller than that one, since that side is greater than the other. So we're going to use this theorem and its converse to compare sides and angles in our triangles. So example 1 here, we want to compare the measures of side GF and side FE. Okay, so GF is right here and FE is right here. So I have these two triangles, HGF and HEF, right? They share this side, so that means that side is congruent to itself. Okay, so now I have my two triangles where I have my congruent sides here and congruent side here. My included angles within those triangles, 28 and 22. I need to look at that angle. Since that angle is greater, that means this side must be greater. Okay, so if I'm comparing GF to FE, okay, GF there is going to be your greater side. So I can say it's greater than FE. Okay, and that's what you would do to compare those sides.
Wait. Hold on.
All right, we're going to do it again in example 2. So if you didn't understand example 1, you need to pay attention. Yes, but I need you guys to pay attention and not talk. Okay, so now I want to compare the measures of angle ABD and angle CBD. Okay, so if I'm looking, I have ABD, that's this angle right here, compared to angle CBD, this angle right here. So I need to look at the sides that are opposite those angles. And if I look at AD here, that's 16. It is greater than 13. That means the angle opposite that side would have to be your greater angle. So now I'm going to compare these two. So I said the greater angle in this one was ABD. So I can write that that angle is greater than the other one. The side conversations really need to stop. Okay, moving on to our next couple examples here. What do you need? You have to check the black binder. So in this first one here, we want to compare side MR to side RP. Okay, so we're comparing MR to RP. We're going to look at our two triangles. MR is here. RP is here. I need to look at the angles that are across from each of those sides and which one is greater. Well, 21 degrees is greater than 19 degrees. That means your greater side is MR. Okay, so I can write my inequality as MR is greater than RP. Okay, then in number 2, we're comparing side AD and CD. AD is here, CD is here. We want to look at the angles across from those sides. So I have 38 degrees and I have 22 degrees. Well, 38 is greater, meaning AD is my greater side. So I can write out AD is greater than CD. Okay, so all you're doing in these problems is writing out that inequality. Which side is the greater side? Okay, I want you guys to try 3 and 4. This one has to do with the angles instead of the sides.
I don't trust him. I need to be there so I can have it. You ever done that? Yeah, we already done. You want to watch my friend's friend? You want to talk to the cousins? Yeah, what's it give to you? I don't know. Did you see the letter too? I don't know. Say the word. It's like, like, you want Chill, you're up here. Oh yeah, let's take some of these. That's made a little mess.
How much money on this school?
She shook her arm again. Yeah, I don't blame you. Sorry. I don't blame you. I had to brush it for. Sorry. I love you.
All right. Shh. Quiet, please. So in number 3, you're comparing angle C to angle Z. If I look at the sides, shh, you guys need to be quiet. If I look at the sides opposite those two angles, okay, this side, XY is greater, it's 50. That means angle Z would be your greater side. So I have angle C is less than angle Z. For number 4, we're comparing angle XYW and angle WYZ. Okay, so we have XYW and WYZ. So these inner angles right here. Looking at those opposite sides, WZ is greater. That means this angle WYZ would have to be your greater angle. So I have the measure of angle XYW is less than the measure of angle WYZ. Okay? Any questions on those first few problems that we've done so far? All right. So in 5 and 6, we're actually going to set up an inequality and solve. Okay, so we want to write an inequality for the range of values of x. So if I'm looking for my x in my picture here, I have 4x minus 10. Okay, that side is opposite this angle of 120, right? This side, 40, is opposite this angle, 115. Okay, which one of these two sides would be my greater side? The one opposite 120, right? Okay, so I can write out 4x minus 10. That side has to be greater than 40, which is opposite that angle of 115. Okay, does that make sense? So now that I wrote out this inequality, I can solve for x. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So we have 4x is greater than 50. Divide by 4. And x will be greater than 12.5. Okay, so since if you think about this on a number line, right? If I were to plot 12.5 on a number line and I said any value greater than, it could be anything above that. Okay? So that would be your range that x could be. Okay, next I want to look at number 6. So in number 6, if I'm looking for the equation with x, that's this angle here. Okay, that angle is opposite this 30 unit side. And I have another angle here of 33 degrees. That's opposite the side that says 36. So which one of my angles would be the greater angle? The one opposite 36. Okay, so now I have 33 is greater than my other angle, so 3x minus 3. Okay, again, I can now solve for x. So I'm going to add 3. So I have 36 is greater than 3x. Divide both sides by 3. Okay, I get 12 is greater than x. Now I want to rewrite this so that I have x on the left and 12 on the right. So when I do that, I could read it as x is less than 12. Right? Now if you think about values less than 12, okay, that could be 8. That could be 2. That could be 9. Now those values could also be negative, right? Because any value less than 12, I could go to 0 and then I can go beyond that and I could say it's negative 3. But if I look at my picture, we're talking about an angle measure here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't have a negative angle measure. So I need that angle of 3x minus 3 to be greater than 0 because it can't equal 0 or less than 0. So I need to take 3x minus 3 and it has to be greater than 0. Okay, because your angle measure cannot be 0 or in the negatives. Does that make sense? Kind of. Okay, so now again I want to solve for x. So I'm going to add 3. So we have 3x is greater than 3. Divide by 3 and x will be greater than 1. So this would be my range of values that x can be. Okay, so x has to be greater than 1 and less than 12. That would be your range for x. Okay, so I can plug in any value that's greater than 1 and any value that's less than 12, and this would be true. Why didn't we have to do it for this one? So if I think about this on a number line, right? And I have 12.5 here. This statement says any value greater than 12.5, so it's going to keep going this way. And this one, if I have 12, it's any value less than 12. So it can go beyond 0. Okay? But since it's an angle measure, it can't be less than 0. So we have to see where that cutoff is, and that was at 1. So that's why it's between those two. Other questions on those ones? It does not get harder. No.
So, did you just say 4-dimensional shapes?
All right. Looking at the back. Looking at the back. Let's see. I want you guys to do 9 and 10. Okay, because I want to give you time to do your assignment, so I want you to do 9 and 10. Skip over 7 and 8. Shh. Quiet, please. Compare your angles in number 9, just like we were doing before, and compare your sides in number 10.
We skip number 7.
Yep, skip number 7 and 8.
I guess we did one.
No.
One.
Okay.
It's a review day.
Alright, we can plan it on the
Maybe on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
That's what I just said. I was gonna ask you, why don't we do it Wednesday, because we only have 3 days next week.
We have
I'm already gonna
three
do stuff.
days.
Oh, we do.
Thanksgiving's next week.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's Thursday.
Yeah, I'm gonna be full of stuff. We can't do Wednesday.
Sweet.
Dude,
Monday you got so much.
No, I'm gonna be full of
Oh, actually, how many times?
you wait now.
Stuff's in my neck. You know, something is so What did you say?
Did you do 9 and 10?
Did you say I could have a Yeah, food. I want chips and salsa. Yeah.
Here, I don't have that for you right now. I'm sorry. Right here.
Yeah, well, no. If I just call it music. can bring your own.
Bring like those little jello squares.
No, we're not saying you to bring food like our
Oh my God, can we please?
Well, I don't know why you just don't do it on Wednesday next
Yeah,
week.
let's do
Because
it on
I'm
Wednesday.
eating a lot of food on
Wait,
Wednesday.
if Wednesday came in our last day, why didn't you?
Let's do it on Wednesday. We agreed to Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Raise your hand for Wednesday.
Okay, fine.
Wednesday?
Oh,
Wednesday for a food day?
Trying to
Food
say.
day. Alright, Wednesday wins.
It's
either never or done.
All right. I want to get through our notes. So quiet, please. Thank you. All right. Number 9. You're comparing the measure of angle STR. You're done talking now. To the measure of angle TRU. Okay. So STR is this angle right here. And TRU is this angle right here. The side opposite that angle by T is 31. By R, that side's 30. Since 31 is greater, this angle would be your greater angle. So I'd want to write in that inequality. For number 10, you're comparing side PQ to side RQ. Okay, the angle opposite PQ is your greater angle. That means side PQ is greater than side RQ. Okay, questions on those two? Okay. All right. We're going to look at the last few at the bottom here. Shh. Quiet. Hey. Hey. Shh. We're done talking. So if I look at number 12, again, we're comparing these sides. Okay, so we're going to write in our inequality symbol. So in number 12, you need to listen and pay attention to this one. It's a little bit different. We're comparing side AB to side BK. Now I need to look at the angles opposite those sides. I don't have any angles opposite those sides. How could I find this angle right here?
Well, it has to equal 180.
Yep.
So you add 30 and 45.
Okay.
That for our 180.
Yes. So in your triangle ABM, I need to subtract these two angles from 180. So that angle would be 110. Now how can I find this angle right here?
Since it's like a
Straight line, yep.
that,
Yes. Since it's a straight line, those two angles together have to equal 180. So if this one's 110, this one would have to be 70. Now I can compare those sides opposite those angles. Okay, so that means AB would be my greater side since it's opposite my greater angle. So I can say it's greater than BK. Okay, next I have number 13. I'm comparing side ST to side SR. Now I have these equations for these angles. However, if I look at this, if I plug in any number, okay, for x, say I plug in 5, okay, if I plug in 5 for x, I would have 5 minus 3, that would be 2. I'd have to plug in 5 for x here as well. That would be 8. So whatever I plug in here is always going to be less than whatever I plug in here, because I'm adding 3 to this one, and I'm subtracting 3 to this one. Okay, so that means ST would have to be your greater side. So for that one, you're not looking to solve for x. Okay, you're just kind of comparing those. So if I were to plug in any number, that left one would always be less than that right one. Okay, questions on those two? Are we understanding what this theorem does? How we're, yeah.